This is Storytelling with Puppets, and this time the story is called A Children's Zoo by Tana Hoban. And this is one of those stories where I like to do it as a follow-up, which means I take the book and I read the actual book to the kids, and then when we're done with the book, I'll bring out some puppets and do some more things related to the book. So just to show you how that works, with this book, it's set up so that each 2 pages has a handful of words over here that describe the animal. It has the name of the animal, and then it has a picture of the animal. Now when I do it with a group of kids, I like to make it very interactive, so I make it more of a guessing game. So I will actually not show them the picture at first, but just tell them the words. So it goes something like this. So in this book, we're gonna see a picture of an animal from the zoo. But before we see the picture, I'm gonna tell you some words that describe it, and we'll see if you guys can guess it. So the first animal is, the words are black, white, waddles. Can you guess what it is? And then I'll turn the page. A penguin, right. And what's very good about this book, whether they guess it or not doesn't really matter. When you turn the page, then they guess it. And there's still that very, very good sense of, yes, it's a penguin, that makes sense. And what's happening with the kids is great. They're taking these words and a picture and putting them together and seeing how they fit. It's a great vocabulary exercise for this book. And it just goes on like this. So the next animal is big, smooth, swims. That's actually a pretty hard one to guess with just those 3 words. But it's a hippo. And some of them are easier, like for instance, gray, wrinkled, trumpets. Elephant. So what I'll do is I'll read the book, usually the whole book, but if it's a very small group, sometimes with toddlers, I won't do every animal in the book. It's easy to switch them around and maybe just do the easiest of them. But when I'm done, I'll put the book down and I'll say, you know, that was a fun guessing game. We used some words, and you guys tried to guess what animal it was, and then we saw the picture of the animal. You know, we could do that same thing with puppets. So let's see, in my bag here, I have some puppets. But before I show them to you, I'm going to give you some words, and we'll see if you can guess what they are. Okay, ready for the first one? And there's all different ways you could do this. You know, one way is to use the same animals as were used in the book, and even use the same words, which is kind of cool because it's, you know, some of the kids who maybe didn't get it the first time, they might remember those words, so they're thinking back in their memory. So when you say, okay, the first one, the words are black, white, waddles. And the answer is a penguin. That's right, it's a penguin. Very good. So in that case, you're kind of reinforcing those words, especially a word like waddle, which they maybe kind of know, maybe aren't sure, but now they're associating it with penguin twice, which is you know, that repetition is great. But you can also do you know, you can do animals that weren't in the book. You can leave the children's zoo and just say it's a different animal, might not be from a zoo. Okay, this next animal, and here you're just making up your own words. Green, hops, and croaks. And then the guesses come. And it's good to, when you do this one, to not say green, hops, and croaks, but say green, and give them a chance to kind of process. Some of them will actually come up with guesses at that point. And then hops, and then when you say that second one, ideally, they're taking that green that they already had, they're putting it together with hops, and then they'll say grasshopper, or maybe frog. But give them time to kind of process those words and put them together. And when someone guesses it right after the first or second word, I usually don't say that's right and then pop out the puppet. It's more like, oh yeah, that's a good guess. Could be a frog, could be a grasshopper. Oh yeah, kangaroos do hop, although I'm not sure they're green. And then finally, when you get to the last one, you'll pop it out. So lots of real flexibility, and the way I usually tell it depends on how the audience responds is. You can play around with that idea of several, using several words. You can say, okay, now, you guys are really good. Let's see if you can guess this next animal with just one word. And the word for this one is tall. And usually they'll get it. And if they don't, you can give them another word. But yes, it is giraffe. Very good. So you can think of a few animals that are very identifiable by that. And it's also, we think of it as a guessing game where the object is to get it right, but really the object is to think about those clues and process them and turn them around into a guess. So you might do another one-word one like, okay, so this next animal, the word is swims. And there's no way to know what the right answer is. And some kids might jump right off with fish, but others will come up with, dolphin or whale or shark or, dog. Dogs swim, sure. Or maybe cats. Well, they don't like to swim, but they could swim. So all kinds of things. So they're taking that word, especially after you've practiced them up with several of these, and now they're really into the challenge. And there really isn't, the answer in this case is fish, but the thing that we really want them to be doing is processing and making those good guesses. And so usually I'll say, oh, it was a fish, but you know what? All of those other answers, those were very good. You were really thinking about the animals you know and the idea of swimming. Good job. So you're really encouraging that. So really just a great book for vocabulary and for kind of for problem solving, And that transition from words without any pictures or images to a word with a picture or image it's a really big step in early learning. Another thing about it is you can play around, more than I have here, with the revealing of the animals. So if they're not guessing it, and you have something like flies, buzzes, black and yellow, and they still don't get it, you can pop up the animal if you want, but you can also play around with it too. Show them a little bit, and then see what they guess, and then show them a little bit more, and then show them this much, and bring it out. So you can play around with the physical part of revealing the puppets. And one last thing about it is with a story like this, it's great to let the parents and caregivers in the audience know that they can do this very easily at home, even with or without the book. Just the idea of putting puppets in a bag, giving some words that you just make up on the spot, and having your kids guess it, letting them know what a great, powerful vocabulary tool that is. And the other thing is to let them know it doesn't really have to be puppets. In fact, giraffe here is not even a puppet, it's just a stuffed animal, and that's fine. So they could use stuffed animals, they could use hard animals, they could use pictures or drawings, it doesn't really matter. So that's a way to start with an excellent book, and then kind of take off from it afterwards by using some puppets. So the story is A Children's Zoo by Tana Hoban, and this is one way to tell it with the book and then afterwards with puppets.